For nearly 20 years, I believed I was the anchor of a family I helped build with love, sacrifice, and unwavering devotion. My name is David Ellison, now 45, and for 2 decades I poured everything I was into being a husband and a father. I built my life around those roles, believing they gave me meaning. Natalie, my wife, had been my world since college, and our daughter Claire, who came into our lives 18 years ago, was the heartbeat of my everyday. I thought what we had was indestructible, a bond forged in years of shared struggle, like supporting Natalie through law school while I worked long hours in a modest architectural firm. I had promised myself I'd be the father mine never was, but the truth was far colder. I was holding on to an illusion long since broken. The unraveling didn't come with fireworks or confessions. It came in whispers, in subtle cracks that widened. When I wasn't looking, it came in the form of excuses cloaked as work obligations, in quiet manipulation that made me second-guess my own instincts. Natalie was always busy. Her job consumed her, and her frequent trips with her junior colleague, Brandon Marks, became routine. He was younger, confident in that arrogant, careless way. I noticed, of course, new clothes, stifled laughter behind closed doors, texts she quickly hid, but I silenced my doubts. In hindsight, it was all glaringly obvious. Whenever I voiced concern, she parried with surgical precision. "Don't you dare accuse me or Brandon of something so baseless," she snapped once. "He's practically family." That word family would soon echo with cruel irony. The real fracture came 2 months after Claire's 18th birthday. She had grown distant in recent years, but I chalked it up to adolescence. Then one night, as we sat in strained silence, over dinner, she looked at me with cold defiance in her eyes and said, "If you weren't so weak, Mom wouldn't be so unhappy." Her words sliced deep. "What did you just say?" I asked, stunned. "You're tearing this family apart." She snapped, "You're controlling, suspicious. You pushed her away with your paranoia." Her voice carried something else, knowledge. Maybe not the full story, but enough. Or maybe Natalie had slowly turned her against me, thread by thread. In that moment, I understood I had already lost them both. But I wouldn't let it end in darkness. I needed clarity. Quietly, I hired a private investigator to track Natalie's travel, her bookings, her communications, anything to confirm the betrayal I could now feel in my bones. It didn't take long. Within weeks, I had irrefutable proof. 8 years of deceit, documented in photographs, phone logs, hotel receipts, intimate emails, and even handwritten letters. Natalie and Brandon had shared holidays, birthdays, anniversaries, even Claire's high school graduation, when she told me a court case had kept her away. But even that wasn't the most painful wound. The investigator, examining the timeline, hesitated before asking, "Have you ever considered a paternity test?" I laughed, then paused. Claire was mine. I held her the moment she was born, cut the cord with shaking hands, stayed up through her colic, kissed away fevers. But something heavy twisted in my chest, doubt. I ordered the test in secret, waiting to agonizing weeks. When the results came, they crushed me. 0% paternity. Claire wasn't my biological daughter. I sat in that silence for hours, grief flooding every corner of me. I allowed myself one moment of raw, soul-shaking pain. Then I steadied myself. I didn't confront Natalie immediately. I let her keep pretending, let her believe she still held the reins. Quietly, I filed for divorce and had her served at her office in front of Brandon, not out of spite, but because I wanted the truth to pierce where the lies had been spun. That evening, she stormed home in a fury. "You're doing this over some ridiculous suspicion," she yelled. "You're destroying Claire's family." Claire appeared in the hallway, tears streaking her face. "Dad, stop acting like a child," she pleaded. I looked at them both, said nothing, picked up my bag, and walked out. 3 weeks later, we faced each other in court. I skipped mediation. I wasn't after money or the house. I wanted the truth documented. Natalie arrived with an attorney and Brandon at her side, now shamelessly present. Claire stood next to her mother. Her lawyer painted me as bitter, unhinged, a man inventing stories out of spite. They demanded alimony. They demanded half of my savings. When it was my turn, I handed over the full dossier from the investigator. Photographs, correspondence, hotel invoices all carefully compiled. The courtroom fell into silence. Natalie's polished exterior crumbled. Then I submitted the DNA results, stating plainly, I am not the biological father of Claire Ellison. I asked the court to release me from all legal parental responsibilities, present and future. Claire gasped audibly. The shock in her face was unbearable. Turning to her, I kept my voice steady. I loved you more than life, but I will not be sacrificed in a story I didn't write. You have your mother and your biological father's blood. That's enough. To the judge, I added, I surrender all parental rights. I only seek peace. Natalie opened her mouth, but the judge cut her off. The verdict came swiftly: divorce granted, no alimony, no division of assets. My parental rights were terminated. When I walked out of the courtroom, I felt no triumph, only a strange, weightless freedom, not from responsibility, but from the crushing weight of a life built on deceit. I changed my number, moved to a small town 3 hours away, and walked away from architecture completely. I started building furniture, simple, honest work with nothing to hide in the grain. Occasionally, Claire sends me emails, apologies, college updates, fragments of longing. I read them. I never respond. The pain doesn't come from her words, but from the years I was cast as the villain in a story sculpted by someone else's lies. 3 weeks after the divorce, Claire showed up at my workshop. She looked tired, adrift. You humiliated me, she said coldly. I set my tools down. I exposed the truth. You didn't have to make it public. You could have left quietly. I shook my head. You called me weak for questioning your mother. I gave you a voice. You chose to use it against me. Then she said something that twisted the knife deeper. Mom told me you always knew I wasn't yours, that you agreed to raise me anyway, that you forgave her. So who's lying now? Were you pretending to be my father all along, or is she painting you as the villain? I didn't speak. I handed her the DNA results again. This is the truth. Everything else is manipulation. I stayed in a broken marriage for you. I gave up everything. And when you turned your back on me, I broke. She stared at the paper, eyes glossed with tears. I don't know who I am anymore, she whispered. I nodded slowly. Neither did I, but now we can stop pretending. A month later, Natalie appeared at my doorstep at dawn, immaculate as ever, clutching coffee like we were old friends. I messed up, she said softly. I kept the door half closed. You didn't mess up. You built a lie for 8 years, layer by layer. Don't insult me by calling it a mistake, she tried to justify. You were never there, David. You were always working. I stepped outside. Your travel records show you were with Brandon when I was home. You chose him over and over again. She broke then, her eyes hollow. He left me. My life's falling apart. The firm dropped me. Claire barely speaks to me. My parents won't return my calls. I have nothing left. Her voice cracked. You were the best part of my life, and I destroyed it. I felt no satisfaction, only fatigue. You're standing in the ruins you built. You want forgiveness, sympathy. You won't find it here. I turned to go. She stopped me with 5 words that chilled my blood. Claire isn't Brandon's either. I froze. What? She's not his, she confessed, her voice drained. She was a one-night stand, a stranger at a legal conference. I never even knew his name. I let you both believe what suited me. It wasn't just betrayal, it was chaos. A destruction so complete it shattered Claire's identity and mine in one breath. I walked back inside, locked the door behind me, left her standing there in her perfect coat with her empty hands. A year has passed. My life is quiet now. My furniture business thrives in its simplicity. My name no longer echoes in courtrooms or family gossip, and I cherish that silence more than I can explain. Claire still writes about college, about the ache of missing something that never was, about regrets. I read every message. I never reply. Some wounds don't heal, they harden into scars. Forgiveness might come someday, but trust, that died the moment truth stopped setting us free and instead became the match that burned every bridge behind us.